1959. I was 4 years old.
Okay.
And my mother played music in the house. So I owe my mother so much because it was her not only who gave me life, but who I think demonstrated her sheer love of music. And so when I was a baby, she told me all this stuff. She said when she brought me home from the hospital and I was, a week and a half old or something, that I wouldn't go to sleep unless she put me near the record player. When I heard music, I settled down and then I went to sleep. When the music finished, I woke up and screamed my lungs out and she would turn the records over and play the other side.
So you like music from
I love music
beginning?
from birth, yeah. And in fact, my mother told me that my first words were "turn it over," the record.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And when she'd do the washing, she'd put the washing in the machine and pull the handle on the old washing machines from the 50s, and it would go cum 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 cum. And she said I would come running down the hall and into the laundry so I could dance with the washing machine because it had a groove.
Yeah.
So, it's always been a part of my life,
Yeah, no.
And but I'm one of 6 children. There are only 4 of us left now. But we all loved music and we all played music. So
do they still play?
My eldest brother Chris was the drummer. My sister Virginia played the lap steel, and I played rhythm and bass, and my brother Phil was the lead guitar player.
And your mom played the lap steel too, right?
She did, that's correct, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, she was, but my mum also played guitar. She was the one who got me my first guitar and showed me D and G and A and all that. And she told me that I just took to it straight away. That I wasn't thinking of anything else but playing music. Mm-hmm. And so when I was going to kindergarten, our school was right across the road. So when the bell rang, I knew, great, I'm going to sit down and make music with my mother. So she'd be ready and have our little amplifier there, and we'd sit and play music. And I was 4 years old.
Wow,
so,
that's great.
Yeah, but I've been playing since then. I don't know how long that is. I'm not that good at math. But I never wanted to do anything else, I always wanted to play music, and I love being in the music business. I love songwriting and performing, and I love it more than I ever have.
When you were 15, you moved to Sydney, right?
Yeah, I took my books back to my high school and said goodbye to everybody and got on the train and went down to Sydney and auditioned that week for a job with a country singer. And I got some pretty strange looks when I turned up, and I was just a kid. I probably wasn't as tall as you are. You're 14, right?
Yeah, so just a year older.
I was 15. I was kind of lanky, skinny little thing, And so I turn up for this audition, and the guy says, "Are you going to audition?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Can you read? Can you read music?" And I said, "No." So I turned up for the audition, and the guy said, "Can you read?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, there'll be no future in this business for you." And I didn't say anything because I was totally intimidated. But in my mind, I thought, we'll see about that, And so I went in and auditioned with the guy. And of course, I knew the songs, and I knew all the guitar parts, and I sang the harmonies because it was all music that I liked, and I knew it well, So I got the job. I was the guy's musical director. When I was at school, I was bullied all the time. I was picked on and bailed up in the boys' toilets and stuff because A, I was on TV, and B, the girls really liked me and I liked them, and the boys didn't like that. So my brother Phil, rest his beautiful soul, was my guardian angel at school, and man, I got bailed up and thrown into the toilet and all that sort of stuff.
That's wrong.
Well, that's what bullying's all about.
Yeah.
But my brother was always, he would suddenly appear, like the toilet cubicle door would suddenly just kick open and he'd come out and wham, lay these guys out. Yeah. That's what having a big brother's for,
So you've been touring for how many years,
Since 1960.
What are some of your favorite collaborations you've done, or connections you made?
Well, I think my brother was my irreplaceable partner, because we grew up playing music together. We went through everything together, you know. And I've had a lot of great collaborations. I've had a lot of people help me along the way. You know, when I was
Like
young,
Chet Atkins.
yeah, well, even long before Chet, when I was a teenager living in Sydney, there would be guys who knew so much that I didn't know, you know. And I would say, well, show me those chords in On a Clear Day, or, you know, Barbra Streisand song. So the guy showed me. I can remember when I first learned chords like this. I learned all those when I was about your age.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even then I didn't quite know what they were, but I knew the sound of it, you know. And I knew that like that, that's a E minor 7 with a flattened 5, and some people call it a half diminish. Right?
Yeah,
and I know that there's a variation on that, which is there. And I bought some Mel Bay books, and I also bought a book called Chord Chemistry, and that was by a brilliant guy named Ted Green. And I recommend this book to everybody, even today. By today's standards, it's still ahead of its time. It's a great book, you know. And it was Ted Green who did stuff like, when I started learning jazz kind of standards, I learned this tune called Watch What Happens, which was a Sinatra song. Let someone start believing in you. Let him hold out his hand. Let him touch you and watch what happens. Da, da, da. And then the bridge goes up to G. Watch what happens. Oh, no, I won't believe your heart is cold. Right?
Yeah.
Ted Green did this. Watch what happens. He did a cycle of what we call a cycle of fifth thing.
Yeah.
And it was so creative. When I saw it, I got chills, and I just got chills then playing it. Watch what a great move, you know. And I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't bought that Ted Green book. You know?
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, so there, yeah, and you know, a guy like George Benson inspired me so much when I heard it.
Yeah, no, because you've written like so many great pieces, like, and I just started writing. So, do you have any advice? Actually?
Yeah, keep listening.
Okay.
You know, most young guys your age write to me and say, I'm trying to write songs like yours, and I can't write anything. It's all rubbish, blah blah blah. And it's like, hello, you're 15 years old. You don't know anything yet. You know.
Yeah.
What you've got to do is take it. You can't put anything out until you take in. So, take in as much music as you can. Yeah, if you're a good listener, that's really going to help you. So go back and listen to some Sinatra tunes, then listen to Sting, then listen to Bonnie Raitt, and then listen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the good songwriters. Listen to all the great songs and take it in and take it in. The Beatles, you know?
Yeah.
I still think that the Beatles are one of the greatest influences on my songwriting.
Okay.
You know, I would have to say that Paul McCartney is at the top of the list as an influence writing. McCartney is not just a great artist, he's an incredible writer. So, you know, steal all you can from those guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Never settle for mediocrity. Fight mediocrity tooth and nail.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you've written many great songs yourself.
Well, thank you. I'm still trying to write stuff, and songwriting is not easy. You know, again, I started songwriting in the early 70s. That's how long I've been trying to do it. And I must have written at least 10 to 15 years worth of absolute forgettable rubbish. And then I started to get a handle on it. Okay. You know?
Yeah.
So,
eventually.
Yeah. So you just got to keep taking it in and taking it in, and find where your strengths are and really work at it. You know? There are two songwriters inside me. There's one up here, and he's clever. He's got a million ideas, and he's throwing them at me. But this one in here is the one that must be satisfied. That's my quality control. Is if it touches my heart and it really, you know, moves me, and every bit of it is right, then I settle on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when I wrote Ruby's Eyes, which is one of my songs from, I don't know, 15 years ago or something like that. Each time I got to the chorus, you know, so the verses. chorus. So forth. And each time I got to the chorus when I was writing it, this guy was battling me. So, and I'm like, it's kindergarten. It's so simple. There's got to be something more. And eventually I had to surrender and say, it's right. That's all you need to say. That says everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That Ruby's House was beautiful.
Thank you.
And another great song was yours, was Angelina, that you wrote too, one of your most popular.
Well, Angelina is my middle daughter, and I wrote it for her when she was born. So it's 20 years old, like her.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's the most popular song I think I've ever written, you know?
Okay.
And I get requests for it, doesn't matter where I go, everywhere, Russia, China, Japan, Germany, Italy, Spain, France, you name it. That's the song that everybody's asking about, yeah.
Would you mind playing it right
Oh,
now?
sure.
Oh, different tune.
It's in drop D. Hang on. There's something about, when I first held my daughter when she was born, I got a feeling that there was something old-fashioned about her, but there was something that was ahead of her time. She was like a double-edged sword, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I called her Angelina May. So Angelina was a fairly modern name, and May is like a name from the 20s.
Yeah,
you know?
really.
So I tried to write something that spelled out her name. So I found this Angelina. Angelina. So her name is 4 syllables, Angelina. So I had to find those 4 notes that spelled out her name. See, I couldn't have written something like that if I hadn't spent most of my life listening to Stevie Wonder and James Taylor and people like that.
Yeah.
There they are in my songwriting. You know, you can't escape their influence. You know, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Tommy. I'm really looking forward to your show tonight.
Thank you. Good,
Awesome.
Good to see you.
Thank you for doing it.
Wow, not bad.
It plays good.